Josh Strange, thank you so much for being here.
It's great to be with you, Greg.
I am so glad to have you. Before we get started, why don't you just talk about who you are, what you do, and kind of what your firm's about?
Appreciate you having me. My name's Josh Strange. I'm a certified financial planner practitioner and the founder and president of Good Life Financial Advisors of Northern Virginia, based out of Alexandria. Our firm is focused on helping government employees, retirees, and contractors through holistic and comprehensive financial planning. So we've been doing this for a number of years and been on the independent space as Good Life Nova since 2018.
I love that. So before we talk about your ideal clients, I want to ask you one more question about yourself. Is there anything in particular that led you to choose this serving this specific type of person? Because that's a really specific type of person. So kind of what is there anything that led you to do that or helped you maybe decide that you wanted to serve uh, these types of people?
Yeah, I wish I could say I had some brilliant vision that just came to me, but the reality was I was a bank-based advisor, and so that for a number of years, and so I would get referrals from the bank, and a lot of those people that came in, I noticed that there were common trends, and being in Northern Virginia, there's a huge government employee, retiree, and contractor population, and they've been, especially the government employees, have been really underserved in terms of working with a financial advisor because they don't necessarily think that they would qualify. They're not even sure where to ask. They've kind of defaulted to, the suite of benefits that they have. So there was a lot of sort of loose ends for a lot of these folks, and we figured out that, hey, we're pretty good at solving that and helping these people make sense of it. And so we kind of evolved into the niche rather than necessarily setting out for the niche.
That makes a lot of sense. I know that you're in the service though too yourself, right?
Right, yes, I was. Yeah, I was Air Force veteran. I'm an Air Force veteran.
Thank you for your service. I bet there's a lot of things that you could relate to in that regard as well for your clients. But okay, let's talk about maybe the type of person that comes to you. We know that they're often military, but what are they? Is there anything that they're struggling with in particular? What kind of finally makes them reach out? Is there some sort of event that happens, an awareness? At which point in their lives do you typically find that they are where they are like, okay, I need to reach out?
Yeah, so I think that our lives all go into different phases based on your age. And so what we've found is that clients typically around the age of 55 um, start to have the capacity, right, to really think through what they want their financial future to look like. So
Mm.
for a lot of our clients, married couple, kids, maybe both spouses are working. And they're running from soccer practice to band practice to Boy Scouts and this and that and just all over the place. So they don't have the capacity, frankly, to be able to really focus on their own personal finances. But they've done the right thing by default. They've spent less than they make. They've avoided credit card debt. They've invested in their retirement accounts, the 401k or the thrift savings plan. And so a lot of things have just kind of gotten them to a point to where it's like, oh, look, I'm doing pretty well. I didn't really focus on it. But then they start to say, well, what are the things that I'm missing? Or they've collected a series of what we call the financial product rock collection, where it's like, well, I've got this insurance policy over here, I've got this investment over here, I've got a Roth IRA, I've got my TSP, I've got this, I've got an old 401k. I have no idea how all this stuff works together or even where it is. So they find
Mm.
themselves very disorganized, and they're getting ready to go into this retirement where they're not going to be getting that high income anymore, and that can be very daunting. So they're like, well, I don't know what that means for me. And so sitting down and bringing it all together, big picture, is really why people come to us. Um, at least that's why they stay and choose to become a client. Once they understand that that's what we
Mm.
do, that we're not trying to just put them in some product or, oh, you come in for one meeting and we've got the solution for you. It's this, that, and the other. And we pull out a
Mm.
fancy book with some sort of an investment approach. So I
So it's
think that people that are looking for clarity over their big picture is really what drives people to stay with us.
So it sounds like you take a lot of time to get to know them, and instead of front loading it, you continue the relationship. Does that, you think that helps you better tailor your recommendations because you get a better intuitive sense for who they are, what they're all about, so you can better tailor recommendations based on their unique situation?
Frankly, I don't know how else you would do it. I mean, how can you give somebody advice if you don't understand their situation? And if we're supposed to be an advisor, that means that we've taken time to develop an understanding of who we're trying to advise. So if you're not getting to know them, as a person and financially, I don't know how you make good quality recommendations. It'd be like going to a doctor and they come in and you're like, seen you before, here's the medicine. But we
You
don't
didn't
do any
even ask me what
testing.
was
We don't
wrong.
do any
Yeah.
diagnosis. Don't say, where's it hurt? It's like, what other things are you doing?
Yeah.
You know, and for too long in our industry, I think that's been the case. And I'm really excited that we've moved as an industry, and those good advisors, and we like to think of ourselves in that camp, have moved from a culture of sales and just sell something to really serve and help to work towards solving those people's financial problems.
Yeah, I love it. I think that's really important. Okay, so maybe let's talk a little bit more about some of the ways you get to know your clients as individuals so that you can tailor those recommendations. Could you maybe give me an example? Does any particular client or circumstance come to mind?
Well, every client, we're going to get to know them, and what I've found is when you make it comfortable for a client and they start to see that, hey, this person's not going to just come in and start spouting off about how great they are. Like, nobody cares about my background, or they care that I know what I'm doing and can do the job, but they don't want to know all about my where I went to school, what clubs I was in, what degrees I was in. They're there to get for me to get to know them. So really starting to understand, why did you come in? I mean, that's the initial question. Like, what made you decide to interrupt your busy day to reach out to some guy like me to have a conversation? Like, what are you trying to accomplish here? And so getting to know them, a lot of times, it's just, what's important to you? Like, tell me about yourself. What have you done up until this point? What's your experience been with working with an advisor? Have you worked with an advisor? Um, Tell me about your family dynamics. What about how are things, like, how's it work? How do you and your spouse handle money together? What about your kids? A lot of our clients have kids that are in that just graduated from college, getting into the adult world. Like, what's important there? So really getting to know them from that perspective, and then kind of taking that clinician's approach of, all right, well, now let's talk about what's going on with your finances, and really understanding, first of all, what are the things that maybe you have in your life or that you have done or haven't done that can jump up and bite you, right? So, like,
Yeah.
where are those risks that you're aware of, and where are the risks maybe that you're not aware of, rather than just diving into, well, here's how we're going to make you a bunch of money. It's a differentiated approach that I think works really well. And again, it's helping to understand, first of all, is this somebody that is going to be a good fit for us, and are we a good fit for what they're looking for? Because if that's not there, you don't want to get started, and we don't want to
Yeah.
get started.
Yeah. Okay, so that's somebody who would be a good fit. Help me understand maybe somebody who might not be the best fit. Was there anybody who came in and you're just like, they're maybe not ready yet. They're not a good fit. What does that look like?
So I think, yeah, that's a great question. We try to operate from a position of humility and intellectual curiosity, right? Sometimes people come in and they want to operate in a position of why they don't need me. And that's totally fine. Not everybody needs a financial advisor. Certainly not everybody needs our team as their financial advisor. So if they're coming in and trying to explain, like, why their process is great, well, then I'm not sure what we're doing, or why everything that they've done is perfect. Then why are you seeking advice? Maybe I should be talking to them because clearly they have it figured out. So I think that's one example of somebody that's not a great fit.
So
Another,
trust.
yeah, trust, and also willingness to admit, like, hey, I may want help. Like, that's really it. You know, the first step is like admitting that maybe you need some help. And if somebody's not at that point, then there's really not going to be anything that we can do because they're going to be very reluctant to make an adjustment. And when you're coming into an advisor, maybe everything's great, but to assume nefarious intent right off the bat is a bad way to start a relationship. Like, don't
Yeah.
even waste your time coming. If you
Yeah.
think this person's just out to get me, then I wouldn't want to talk to them.
Yeah.
If I have a perception that somebody's trying to do something nefarious, like, I don't want to even give them the opportunity to earn my business. It's not my job to prove that I'm not. Like, let's come in and assume that we're going to have an open dialogue. So that's the first one. The second one is the person that's looking for the lowest fee. We do good work. We have a full practice. We don't need a lot more clients. We're very happy to help those clients that need help. But if somebody chooses to work with us or not, it's not going to ruin my day. It's not going to change our business. There's really nothing there. And so we're not at a desperation point to where we're going to be the low cost provider because we've just got to get business, right? We do good work, we have a good reputation, and we charge reasonable prices. Doing it yourself is always going to be the cheapest. So somebody that's looking for the
Yeah.
lowest cost provider.
Well, it
And
might
then the
not be the
third,
cheapest. It might not be the cheapest if you're doing it yourself and you aren't a financial expert and you make mistakes that cost you. So
right.
anyway, the third. What's the third? What's the third thing?
And the third is a really sad situation. And we do see it sometimes. I can't build a house for somebody if they don't have any materials, they don't have any tools, and they haven't done anything. So for those clients that are maybe later in life and they're like, "Hey, we didn't really start saving for retirement and we've only got a little bit of money and not much time and we want you to really invest aggressively so that we can some point retire." Well, that's not prudent financial planning. And so there does have to be a certain level of assets or income or something that we can plan with. Otherwise, you
So you don't
really
help
can't
people get out
plan.
of debt. You know, these people are coming to you. They have a good foundation. They just like need to. They either don't have the time anymore. Or they get to a point where they realize they need some help building on top of what they've done consistently and diligently over.
Yeah, I mean, the real three things is I don't have, people that don't have the time to do it on their own, they just don't want to do it on their own. They'd rather spend their time doing something else, or they frankly can't do it on their own. Like, it's too scary. They don't have the knowledge base and they don't want to go get it. Those are the three people, but they do have something to work with, right? So there's income, there's a high level of income, discretionary income, there's assets, there's something that we can build with. Otherwise, it's kind of like, I mean, if you don't have enough income to meet your expenses, there's only two answers: cut expenses or go get more income. You don't need a financial planner for that. And so it's hard. We wish we could help everybody, but there's just not enough hours in the day.
Yeah, I mean, I totally get it. Somebody needs to be ready and have put in some of the work themselves, and they're looking for somebody to help them take it to the next level. All right, so let's talk a little bit about maybe working with a larger firm versus a more boutique firm like yours. Um, what are some of the differences that you found? I know that you came from maybe a larger place, and then I think you went on your own, right? You
Mm-hmm.
started your firm, you went on your own.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the differences, pros and cons? Maybe help us understand a little bit more about the differences of working with a larger firm versus a more boutique firm like yourself.
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't think it matters so much about the firm size, because at any time that you have, what really matters is the relationship with the advisor. If you're with an 800 number, that advisor really probably doesn't know you very well. In my previous firm, while we were a large organization, each advisor had their own sort of practice and their own clients. And so those clients were the lifeblood. That's how you stayed in business. So while we might have been employees, we were still, our ultimate boss was the clients. Because if the clients all fired us, then we didn't have a job anymore because they had no reason to keep us around. Um, on the independent side, we're a part of a very large organization with LPL Financial, largest independent broker dealer in the country, 30,000 plus advisors. So we have all the capabilities. But what's different is our only boss is our clients. We work for our clients, and so that's where our ultimate. There's not this split loyalty. So oh well, this place over here has a great money market, but we can't pull money from the bank account because that's going to hurt our employer. Or, well, we're limited here because our manager's saying we need to focus on this, this quarter. Maybe some other institution. Not saying anything about where I previously worked, because where I previously worked was great, like really good advisors. Some advisors I don't think were competent, and I've seen that across the board at a number of firms. Some are absolutely fantastic and be like, yeah, they're a real quality professional. Some are like, I don't know how that guy has any clients at all.
Yeah.
Um, so it really comes down to the person. And then when you're thinking about um, sort of that 800 number experience, just realize that their whole business is finding advisors to answer the phone, but they're not probably going to go that deep because they just don't have the bandwidth.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. I think it goes back to what you were saying earlier in regard to taking the time to gather an intuition, an understanding about who that person is, their tastes, their situations, so you can make the best recommendations. So that when you call, you can also ask follow-up questions about, hey, how's your husband doing? How's the wife going? How are the kids? How's that X, Y, and Z vacation we're helping you plan? How's that going on? So,
Right. Are
um,
you still thinking about retiring? What do you want? Have you given much
yeah,
thought to that last conversation we had about what you're going to do to keep yourself busy? Um, how are
yeah,
you and Susie going to handle like all that time together? So,
yeah,
one of the things about working with an advisor is I tell my clients, you get thousands of years of vicarious wisdom because we talk to people all day long and hear about the things that they did well, the things that they maybe wish they would have done different, and what they've learned from those mistakes. And so then when we see it, we're like, oh, you know what? This reminds me exactly of what happened with Bill. Here's something that
mm,
I may want to bring up because Bill would have done this differently had he known XYZ, which is one of my favorite parts of the job.
yeah. I love that. Okay, let's regarding job. Let's switch gears a little bit and ask maybe a little bit more lighter question, a little bit more personal, learn more about you. So, if you weren't helping people with their finances, what's the dream job you'd be doing just for the fun of it? Assume you retired from being a financial planner in your second life. Something you would be doing just for the fun. Money's not an object.
I think I would just mentor younger people. Um, I've had a lot of people that have spoken really positively into my life and over the years. I wouldn't need to get paid for it. Just be able to be there, um, help them realize they don't have to settle, for the status quo, that, you can chase your stupid dream and somebody's going to catch it. So I
Yeah,
really like that. Like giving back's important to me. Recreationally, I like to fish. I'd fish a
yeah.
lot.
Fish a lot.
Maybe I'd be a fishing, like a first mate or a fishing captain. Just take people out that are cool and fun to hang out with and take
Catch
them
some
out
fish.
fishing. But right now I'm the client, so I'd go to those people. I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm like, hey, just tell me what I need to do, and we have a good time. So that'd be fun if I had the time to really invest in that. But that'd be recreationally, and then just like sense of purpose, it would be mentoring other people.
I love it. I love it. All right, let's talk about maybe some dynamics with working with clients because obviously, when you move into retirement, you're transitioning out of, working your entire life, saving, and once you move into retirement, you can focus more on, uh, legacy and putting things into the front that you had put off for a long time, or maybe going in different directions and you helping your clients figure out how to do that, whether it be vacations or buying that boat to go fishing, do the fishing they
Right.
wanted to. So when it comes to those types of decisions, maybe how do you know when to maybe push a client versus letting them go at their own pace? Like, how do you handle those, helping your clients plan and work through those things that come up? Does that question make sense?
Yeah, so I think that you can persuade, but you can't push. And one of the biggest challenges that we see for retirees, believe it or not, is an unwillingness to spend their money.
Yeah.
Um, and it's rooted in a lot of times fear or just not really fully understanding the scope of their overall situation. Um, so, you think about it, these people have spent all of their lives delaying consumption, right? That's what investment is delayed current consumption for greater future consumption. But they never make the mindset shift to that greater future consumption. So people will be like in their 70s and they'll be like, well, I don't know. I'm not doing so great. I'm not really saving anything on a monthly basis. It's like, well, why are you worried about saving anything for the monthly basis? Well, I got to build my nest egg. I'm like, but you're 75. Like, you
Your
built
nest
the
egg is
nest
built,
egg.
man. Yeah.
You got the nest egg built. It's time to enjoy the nest egg. And I'll tell people, and I do kind of push, because I'll tell people, look, you can die as a wealthy old person that did all the kind of stuff that they want to do because that's where your situation's at, or you can die a wealthier old person who didn't do any of the stuff they wanted to do. Um, but regardless, nobody's getting out of this thing alive. And
Hmm.
so, based on everything that we've looked at in a very prudent manner, it seems to me like it's okay for you to do this and it's not going to cause you any sort of risk for your long term financial well being. So, what is it that you're afraid of? And then they'll oftentimes come up with something like, well, what if a tree falls on my house? And they'll say, well, you've got property and casualty insurance. Like, is that something that's covered? Oh, sure is. So
So
we
it
can take
sounds
that
like you
off
help
of
them
there.
work through the mindset shift that has to happen.
Yeah,
And you're like the good
100%.
angel on the ear, like encouraging them and giving them peace of mind to and permission to spend the money in a responsible way, make that mindset shift.
Nobody but my mother's ever called me an angel, but thanks, Greg. But yeah,
You're
it's a hundred
welcome. I'm
percent
here all
my.
day.
Yeah, I'll pay you later. It's 100% mindset. Money often is rooted in mindset, and so the longer I've gotten into this work, the more I've learned that that's really what it's about. Like that, money is a tool, it's a means, it's not an end. Um, and so the people that we work with really do understand that typically. And we want to help them see, though, while it is a means, you can use it, right? You don't have to just continue to think about, well, I need to keep saving, 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 saving. At some point, we want you to spend, 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 spend responsibly and to give you the peace of mind to know that, hey, unless the world kind of blows up, I'm probably okay. And if the world does blow up, not much you can do about it. And that's one of our core values of, focusing on that nexus of control.
Yeah, I love that. All right, let's make a little shift here, and this could be hard, but I want you to put your humble hat on, Josh, and tell me about something that you do for your clients that takes a lot of time and energy, but they might not never know.
Oh gosh. Um, I think if we were to look and just say like practically what's the thing that we do, it's really get to know them. And I don't think that people fully understand like what a mental um it's a mental exercise to really know somebody, to think about them at different times,
It's a
especially in
24/7, 24/7 all the
yeah,
time.
my wife
Yeah.
will sometimes be like, sometimes you come down, you don't really have much to talk about. And it's like, because I've got all that stuff in my head from listening and really hearing these people throughout the day, having 125 of these people's lives that I
Hmm.
know, right? Because when you do work with a financial advisor over a period of years, a lot of times it gets to be to where there's a quite a bit of personal, you know,
Yeah, you've done some life
inf-
together to
we've
a
done
certain
some life
extent.
together. We've been through some
Yeah.
stuff. We've talked about the things that you're afraid of, the things that you're happy. We've been through good markets, bad markets, and navigated a lot of life together, worked together to make decisions, help people avoid maybe some things that they were thinking that might have been a mistake. Um, so that goes beyond just, the financial side of things, like really understanding like, okay, well, how do you actually feel about this? And then how does the money come in to support that? So, it's not the most clear answer to your question, but it's really hard. Like, because we talk about, we do your estate
I
planning. Well,
think
we
it
don't,
is.
we
I think
don't
it
get
is.
paid, right, to like write wills, but I absolutely have in my mind what happens if something bad happens to this person, right? We need to make sure that that box gets checked. We want to look at the risk side of things, even if it's not something where we're getting paid. Like, but if we know it, it's irresponsible not to bring it up and at least say, hey, I want you to look at this. This is important. And I'm really pretty firm on that. And sometimes it might
So
come
that
off
might
as
be where you
abrasive.
push a little bit. Maybe that might be a little bit of example. Persuade. You said
Hmm.
persuade, not push, right? Yeah.
Yeah, well, when I see somebody that's got a bad thing that's going to happen and you can see that train coming, if I have to, I'm going to absolutely push them off the tracks. Even if they get mad at me, they're like, "What did you push me for?" And I'm like, "Because you were about to get hit by a train." Well, we're
Mm,
not friends anymore. I'm going to fire you. That's okay. I did the absolute best that I could. If
yeah.
you want to jump back on the tracks, it's up to you. But
Yeah.
I know that I did the right thing in that moment. So I'd rather lose a client by doing the right thing than keep a client and know that there's a peril there. But ultimately, it's up to them. These people hire us to do a job. We work for them.
Yeah. I mean, I can personally relate to um, having clients and constantly thinking about them, even when I'm not working. It's a 24/7 job having clients that you're responsible for and them constantly being on your mind and all the even the subconscious work that comes together to produce results and come to a conclusion about what to do. And the best conclusion can only come from knowing that person, knowing their situation, and thinking deeply and often about them. So I totally get what you're saying there. Okay. Um, what I'd like to talk about now is what it looks like when somebody starts to work with you. So they've met with you, they've determined that they want to work with you, the timing's right. Maybe walk me through what the first couple of months of working with what working with you looks like. Maybe go into how you get started, how you start working with them on their plan, how you help them start transitioning to thinking about spending the money, helping them plan some trips that they've been excited about but haven't felt good about taking. Maybe walk me through those first couple months after somebody becomes a client.
Yeah. So once they've determined that, we're the right team to help them, then we go into what we call the NGPS process. And this is a process that I've developed to work with clients. Everybody likes to talk about the GPS, right? And the GPS is really cool marketing. Like, to think about it as your GPS. But the thing about a GPS is it doesn't work at all if you don't know where you're starting from. So the N in GPS is in NGPS, I think, is one of the most important and overlooked components of somebody's financial planning, because we like to talk about goals, we like to talk about how the strategies that we can bring in, but really getting to understand where a person's at in the current here and now. Uh, and so that's where we begin. We begin where we're at now. So getting to know clients deeply from where they're at from a financial perspective. So that's going to involve a data gathering process where we're going to ask for statements and policies and schedules and pay stubs and tax returns and estate planning documents, really to try to get a big picture understanding. And rather than me just say like, oh, well, tell me about, what you're doing here. It's like, yeah, you may know, you may not know, but you kind of get into the telephone game. I just want to get the primary doc. We call them the primary documents, like the primary source. We can look at that as professionals, ferret out the information accurately rather than saying like, oh, can you tell me about this? You're like, well, I've got to go to the grocery store here. The kids have that. Trying to figure out what in the world we're going to do this summer. Yeah, I remember exactly what I chose in open enrollment 7 months ago. Sure, I can just rattle that off my head. But if we have those documents, we can get it. Once we have those documents, we're going to go through and do a deep analysis with that, both just reading things and then also utilizing software to get us to where we can really see it big picture and then present that with a client. We're going to visit with them about a draft analysis of kind of like, okay, well, here's big picture what we're seeing, then start to identify, all right, so what is it that you want to do? Like, what would you do if money wasn't an object? What would you like to see happen? How are you going to feel, was successful? Where are your priorities? And then
What have you
are
been
those
holding back
priorities
on that you've always wanted to do?
right? Maybe, well, you know what? It looks like you're doing a little bit too much here. Maybe we need to dial that back. Or, um, you say you want to do this, but that puts this other thing at risk because economics and finance, dismal science, infinite wants, limited means. How do we work within that
Right. You
construct?
can afford anything but not everything. Anything but not everything, right? So make your choice, right? Make your choices. Yeah.
That's a different way of putting it, but I like it. We talk about competing priorities, but your way is pretty good. Maybe you should become an advisor.
All right, so I'm loving this, man. I really like the emphasis on not on who you serve, but also the people that you serve have made a lot of sacrifices throughout their life, and they've done their due diligence and they've done their part, and you can also, and you're a powerful ally to help them transition to the next phase and help them make the most out of the work that they've done. I love that. Okay, so for anybody listening who is interested in speaking with you and possibly working with you or taking next steps, where should they go? How can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so we've got a great website where you can go. You can read more about us. That's www.goodlifefanova.com. So that's goodlife foxtrot alpha nova.com. If you're a government employee, retiree, or you're a contractor, you're probably familiar with phonetics. But we've got a contact us form. You can book an initial consultation where we'll just have a conversation. You get to know us, we get to know you, see if there's a good fit for us to take the next steps. But that's the best way. If you'd like, you can also reach out via text 703-214-2112. That goes to our direct office, and our director of client services will work to reach out and set up a time for us to connect.
All right, Josh. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Hey, thanks so much, Greg. Have a great day.
You too.